You know, it's a good day. Today's a good day. Tukma moma chimpisa lika. Sahachapot, Lisa Johnson Billy. I was born here in Purcell. In fact, I was born down the road. The hospital, they've turned it into a museum for those of us who were born there. When we got old, I didn't know what to want.
So you're now a museum piece?
Yeah, I'm now a museum piece. But my dad, though I think most of you all know my dad, my dad's family moved here. Actually, my grandmother, who had come here with her mom in a wagon in 1889. My grandfather, my dad's dad, is actually from the Fillmore area, where right after removal, that's where all of his family settled. But my grandpa came here on the old work program, the WCA program, so he helped build Red Hill and all that cool stuff that's here. And so that's how he and my grandmother met, and he gave her a fictitious name when he first met her. He gave her the name of Ben-Hur. And so I don't think she believed that that was his name, but anyway, it was a lasting joy. They were married about 63 years, so but they have 4 children. So my mother is a Choctaw, and my mom is actually from Colgate. She was born down there. We still have her original allotment, but she was actually raised in Anadarko. They moved to Anadarko. They're part of a government relocation program, so they went out to California for a couple of years, and for a bunch of Indians from Lehigh, living in San Francisco wasn't really settling for them, so they came back to Oklahoma. But serving in our legislature is very humbling, and it's something that my mother, when my mother's gone to be with the Lord about 11 years ago, but she always reminded me that when you're a servant of the people, to always be available. And I find that very, very important, and I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity. I'll serve another 3 years, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity. About a year ago, I was in California. We have to travel out. There are a lot of council meetings. Purcell was one of the first ones that really got sort of this whole area going, the Oklahoma City area and the Newcastle going, and Angie and Carol Lee and Keith and some that have passed on started making these things happen. But as we have now, we have citizens that are active because of all the programming that Chickasaw Nation does, and because of the great vision and the visionary leaders that we have. And so we were in California about a year ago, and the Lord really, I believe, impressed upon me as I listened to a lot of our citizens who live out of state, who didn't really know much about our faith. And so the idea came to me to host a church tour. And so this last festival, that's what I did, and not really having the opportunity to know how to connect with all of our citizens or really how to make that happen, but we just sort of set out to make it happen. And about 5 days prior to the event, the legislative office, we created a little flyer and emailed it out. It's basically the only way I knew how to reach out to citizens, and it primarily was for citizens who live out of the state, because those of us who live here really understand culturally those things. And so about 5 days ahead of time, we have 85 people signed up, and I'm like, well, we were all just going to use our personal vehicles to drive people out to the first church established ever in Chickasaw Nation. And so our staff in the legislative office and me were like, our vehicles aren't going to hold 85 people. And so we were scrambling around, but ultimately we were able to get one of the big buses, and literally that kind of came in that morning up. This festival's a very busy week, and so I'm like, we're praying. I'm like, we're going to pray, ladies. We're just going to pray. God gave me the idea. God's going to work it out. But it was a phenomenal opportunity. A lot of our citizens that really know nothing about our churches, the establishment of it, how that happened, what our faith is, who we are as God's people. I believe we're blessed because of that. And so we're going to do another one this year, and it's certainly open to all of our citizens. The focus really is for those who live out of state, because they don't get those opportunities to come to church and to sing our tribal hymns and to really understand the meaning of our hymns. And when our ancestors wrote those hymns, they were on the Trail of Tears when they're writing these words to these songs. And when you understand the words, it's very powerful. And so something that I'm very excited about is doing that. I currently serve, every year we have new chairmanships depending on who our chairperson is. So this year I'm serving as the education chair. One of the issues that I wanted to help work on, and as did all of the legislators, was to help increase funding for scholarships. My husband Philip and I have 3 children, and one had just recently gone through and graduated from OSU. Say a prayer for him. He's fighting for our freedom. He's in Afghanistan as we speak. I did get a message from him earlier today, and he sent me a photo, and we sent him bed draped chocolates to him and his unit. And so all the guys were loving the bed draped chocolates, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. But you know, kind of understanding the cost of college was very near to our heart because we had just gone through it. Second son was still there. Second son's a junior at OSU. And so working with the governor and the other legislators, it really was just a matter of taking a look at our budget and figuring out how we can increase funding for that. And so we've done that. It's been incremental. We've done it over the last couple of years. Primarily it began to take effect last fall, and then you'll see a little bit more increase. And those, of course, are for citizens that live anywhere, as our young people are pursuing higher education. What's exciting for me is to see young people that I knew from the time they were in the womb, and now they're graduating and they're serving and they're working. And I have to say, Lisa Empson, I didn't know her in her mom's womb, but I knew her shortly after. And when she came to work at Chickasaw Nation, she was a young person on the summer work program. But because of scholarships and opportunities and her own work ethic, she went after it, and now she's an attorney and serving back for the tribe. And so when you see our programming that we created, we couldn't wait on the government to help us. We did that. And so I'm so thankful that we have a governor, and we'll have a new lieutenant governor, but because of Governor Anatobi's vision, and all of us have to work together. No one person can make anything happen. We all have to work together. And so doing that, we're now in a position, and one of my passions is making sure that we are positioned with the state of Oklahoma so that the state of Oklahoma understands as tribal members we're not leaving the state and that we're here. And as sovereign nations, we have opportunities to negotiate sovereign to sovereign. And so that's another one of my passions that I enjoy doing on behalf of Chickasaw Nation. And so that's a little bit about myself. And
I can't believe it.
Is that John? John owes me a cup.
Oh, wow. That doesn't happen. Anybody have any questions?
No heckling.
I want to know if your position with the state of Oklahoma, how did you manage to do that, and you can do this too?
Well, as a cabinet secretary, that literally came out of the blue. I'm getting to know Kevin Stitt. Of course, I've been on the cabinet now and been confirmed by the Senate since February, so that's pretty exciting. Cabinet secretaries for the state of Oklahoma are volunteers to the state, so each of us serve as advisors to the governor. Mine happens to be a brand new position, which is working with tribes, and so part of it is something I already do as a tribal legislator, working with my own tribe. But also making sure that every tribe in the state, we're doing tobacco compact negotiations right now, and so I've traveled out and met with all the tribal leaders to make sure that our compact negotiations are going sovereign to sovereign with the general counsel, the full-time staff that work at the state capitol, making sure that every tribe in the state is there at the table and they have those opportunities. And so, I mean, yes, it's a lot of time, absolutely. It's a lot of time. I finally begged somebody at my church to come help me clean my kitchen once a week. So Jen's helping me. I'm like, oh, thank you, Jen. But I mean, yes, it's a little stressful. During legislative session, it was a lot stressful. But because I served in the House, I understood that it would be that way because I served 12 years there. It's a lot different getting to be a cabinet secretary, and it's better. I mean, I don't want to ever serve in the Oklahoma legislature again. I'm so thankful, though, that people voted for me and sent me there. I'm very thankful for that. But I don't ever want to do that again. But being the cabinet secretary, you just get to have a little bit more say in how things go. And it's very exciting for me to see a governor of the state of Oklahoma, Kevin Stitt, to say, I want to make sure sovereign tribes in this state are here as sovereign nations. I want to make sure we're doing real partnership, real development with all of the tribes in the state. And since there wasn't a cabinet position before, he literally has said, there's no job description for this cabinet position, then go write it, Lisa, make it happen. Okay, no pressure. You got it.
Well, I think you picked somebody very good.
Well,
I think you'll do a good job. I was just worried about you trying to do that job and.
well,
this job.
it's been a little challenging. I mean, it has been. I'm kind of coming into a better balance of how to do both. But during that February to May, it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, it just will. For however many years I serve in that position, it will just be a difficult time. And Philip's learning to cook better. He did mention to me that, could you buy some Spam and buy any weenies over there? That's what I'm going to get for supper when I get home. I'm a homemade cooking girl. And he's like, well,
And I can tell you, if she can run for state legislature and have 3 little children, as we all knew, and took care of them while running, yes, she can handle this.
One day I drove by Carol Lee's house, and I forgot what little car we were driving back then, but anyway, it had a sunroof, and Carol Lee said, I'll never forget, your kids are all hanging out the sunroof, and I'm just like, hey, they're safe, we're good, let's go.
So, but it is.
Did you have a real question, or were you just?
Yes, I wondered if you knew anything about the paving project out around the site.
The paving project at Chickasaw, at our site?
Yes.
Oh,
On
so,
Hardcastle Road.
yes, okay, so they're looking to build a, like a travel plaza, not a large one because there's not enough.
No, I'm talking about the
Space.
paving of the road.
Road.
The one that runs.
Hardcastle
The
Road.
tribe offered to pay for half of it, the city was
Oh.
gonna pay for half of it, and the tribe says, well, we're waiting on paperwork from the city says, well, we're waiting on paperwork from the tribe.
I'm actually-
And nothing is being done.
I'm not aware of any of that, but I can certainly find out. Beth or Lisa, are y'all aware of any of that?
No, I had not heard that Chickasaw Nation had agreed that they have.
I'm not aware of
that
any
may be
agreements, but I'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll let you know.
Well, my thoughts on that,
Yeah,
and I'm wondering why the Chickasaws would have to be even apart, because we have several industries out on that road.
If Chickasaw Nation has to have a responsibility, I'm thinking there's got to be some kind of negotiation in terms of easements, or there
All
has
that-
to be
it's-
something.
According to the city, all that's been done and the paperwork's been submitted. And according to Nancy, all the tribal paperwork's been done and submitted. So
Okay.
where's all the paperwork gone?
So the Hardcastle, that's the one that is
Road.
north and
North
south,
and
right in
south.
front of our.
And they were going
Building.
to pave, what is that, Sherry Classic and Hardcastle. And I think the tribe offered to do that because the city, just to get the
Just to
city
get it
to,
done.
off dead center. Well, now it's back on dead center.
I'll find out.
Okay.
Yep, sure will. And that was a real question too.
Yeah, I know.